The intended purpose of this book is to create a platform to open conversations for deeper discussions about diversity and respect. Donald the Bully. Will He Change? By B.T. Bard. I had just woken up to get ready to spend another wasteful day of 4th grade with the less than average population attending PS 45. It was already a muggy 80 degrees in NYC, but Grandma insisted on making her weekly homemade chicken soup anyway, which made it seem unbearably hot. "It's good for you, Donald. Keeps bugs away," she always said. Okay, I get it. She never wanted anyone to get sick and have to miss school or work, ever. But sometimes a 9-year-old craves a break from the boring classwork, boring kids, and boring school lunch. The only thing that kept me interested in attending school was the pretty teacher's aide, Miss Babinky. In my mind, she was known as Babe, for obvious reasons. She made for a handy distraction, especially when it was time to take out the dull American history book that was assigned every day at 10:10 sharp. Another distraction was a chronic pain who sat right next to me in class. Her name? Nicetta. She always wore hand-me-downs, smelled odd, and had a constant sinus condition, which occasionally became a visual disgust. In short, she turned my stomach. In my mind, I referred to her as Nose-Etta. Hey, if the shoe fits. "Donald, stop daydreaming. Finish your soup, then get ready for school. Your dad had to go to work early, but he read over your book report and left it on the coffee table. Put it in your backpack when you're done," Grandma insisted. Since my parents were divorced, Grandma kept me fed and on task. She was my rock, so I obeyed with no trouble. I eventually got ready, then begrudgingly went to school to experience more mediocrity. Maybe I could see my life in a more positive light if I had 400 hugs a day like the little spoiled handicapped first grader that everyone always fawns all over. But if that was the case, I wouldn't have the nice thick skin I have today. I set him straight when he wanted to cut ahead of me in the lunch line. "My stomach is hungry too," I told him. "You want to fit in and be treated like the rest of us? You can wait just the same as the rest of us. Besides, you're lucky. You get to sit while you wait." Bob the Bulldog was the self-proclaimed nickname of my classmate Robert. He always went by that name when we had PE class. It began after the gym teacher told him that he was a star athlete. How could a 9-year-old be a star anything? I wasn't jealous, just disappointed in adults making poor judgment calls. That dirty dog knew I was just as good as him. Robert had a gleam in his eye when he passed over me while choosing teams. When he looked at me with that look and quietly remarked, "Not Donald, the bully," I secretly wanted to show him the end of my Nerf gun up close. Stupid school rules don't allow toys. Since I didn't finish my stale grilled cheese cafeteria sandwich, and my snack was only a handful of grapes and a couple of cookies, I was hungry. Eventually, my teacher gave in to my complaining and allowed me to go to the nurse for some white crackers. They were always on hand for upset stomachs or hunger. On my way back to class, I saw Mr. Thorogood, the pitiful janitor. He was mopping up something that looked like sawdust mixed with powdered paint. I thought to myself, I'm never going to have a job like that poor slob. I'm just a kid, and I already seem better off than that guy. After I walked around the corner and out of his sight, I flipped some lint and crayon paper out of my pocket and onto the floor. I peered back to tell him, "Looks like you missed something over here." Just then, a strange announcement was made. "Attention all teachers and personnel. The answer to the trivia question is twist and shout." It was sung by the Beatles. I repeat, twist and shout. I remembered hearing that announcement before, but paid no mind to it. Babe was standing outside the library. It seems the announcement was an emergency lockdown code informing teachers to get everyone out of the hallways, be quiet, and lock the doors. It was usually just a drill, but this time it was for real. Some nutjob had just robbed a convenience store nearby for a measly $112. He ran into my school for cover, just before the side door next to the library was locked. Miss Babinky noticed the sweaty guy holding a gun. When she shrieked, he put it in his pocket and tried to act relaxed. When I came upon the scene, I had no idea what was going on, and I hadn't seen the gun. All I saw was this odd invader wiggling his eyebrows as he whistled flirtingly at my favorite teaching assistant. "Hey, I like the view in here," he said. Maybe it was jealousy, or maybe it was nerves. Whatever the case, I snapped. I felt my blood boil when I saw the distressed look on Babe's face. Without thinking, I ran behind the guy, ready to lunge at him, yelling, "You big slime ball!" Suddenly, I heard a blast and thought my leg exploded. The guy immediately tossed his gun aside. Luckily, the janitor picked it up. From that point on, everything was a blur. I woke up to the sound of strangers laughing. I was freaked out when I realized I was in a hospital bed. The African-American boy in the other bed was saying his goodbyes and thanks to several relatives and a couple of nurses. They had just celebrated his birthday. I found out later that they were so happy and giddy because they didn't expect the boy to make it to his 11th birthday. He had some kind of disease I had never heard of. A nurse noticed me and said, "Hey, sleepyhead, glad to see you. Your parents just went to the cafeteria for coffee. They should be right back. Can I get you anything?" "No," I replied kind of abruptly. I wasn't used to seeing male nurses. Then I added, "Thanks for asking." Suddenly I panicked. Hey! What's wrong with my leg? I can't move my leg!" The nurse explained that a bullet went through my leg muscle. He said the librarian was trained in advanced first aid and quickly applied pressure on my leg until the ambulance arrived. I was shocked that Mrs. Sanchez helped me. I was freaked out about being shot. And I felt lucky to be alive. Just then my parents entered. I was surprised to see them together. It was the first time I saw them getting along since their divorce. They were overjoyed to see me awake. Apparently, I had been sleeping for 3 days. They told me that Grandma had just gone home to get some rest. She had been at my bedside for 4 hours straight. I really wanted to see her, so my dad said he would call her up to come back. Meanwhile, the nurse stepped out to call Dr. Marib. She came in to check on my condition and to talk with me and my parents. She explained that I would be able to walk again after doing physical therapy, but I would probably need to get around in a wheelchair for a couple of weeks until my leg healed and gained back strength. I was bummed out, but felt very relieved to know that I would be able to use my leg again. I glanced around the room. There were a bunch of cards on the end table and the bulletin board. I saw a few get-well balloons, a couple of stuffed animals, and even some flowers. "Who's this card from?" I chose it because it was very big, and I liked the picture of a dancing dog. When I opened it up, it played the song Happy, which made me smile and laugh a little. It was from Mr. Thorogood, the janitor. The day I returned to school, the principal referred to me as a hero during the morning announcements, which I knew I wasn't. Then, when I heard the entire school chant "Hip, hip, hooray" 3 times, I was quite taken aback. I found myself thrilled to be sitting next to Nicetta. She had drawn a really nice picture on the card that she sent to me at the hospital. It was a picture of me wearing a superhero cape with a rainbow of color rays all around. She wrote "Donald the Great" on it. Guess who Robert picked first to be on his kickball team on the playground? I hadn't planned to join in because I was still in the wheelchair, but I decided to graciously accept the invitation to play behind second base. He really is a pretty cool guy, and he doesn't call me a bully anymore. During lunchtime, the first grader in the wheelchair called me up to the front of the line to go ahead of him, which made me feel happy and guilty at the same time. Miss Babinky wound up helping me with many simple tasks around school during my recovery time. She became more like a caretaker for me, which made me admire her in a more respectful way. Everyone treated me so kindly while I was recuperating. I felt less judgmental, which made me feel nicer about myself. It was weird, but very good. It was like that injury woke me up from a bad dream. I was more relaxed for some reason, in a peaceful way, and I was certainly more grateful. After some time, I was able to walk with crutches. I felt freer. I had purposefully brought in a new bandana to school one day. When Nicetta began sniffling during reading time, I happily handed it to her and told her she could keep it. Nicetta's smile showed me that she was genuinely appreciative, which made me feel good. My mind became lighter and more appreciative as the weeks followed, and somehow I knew that what appeared as the worst event of my life had actually seemed to change my view in a positive way. Go figure. I certainly never looked down at Mr. Thorogood ever again. He was very brave to pick up the gun and to keep it away from the shooter. Of course, the librarian became my most favorite person in the world because she probably saved my life. Mrs. Sanchez will always be my hero. There's no doubt about that. Well, I've got to get on the bus now. I just can't wait to get home to eat some of Grandma's delicious chicken soup. You know, it really does make me feel better somehow. The end. If you would like your very own illustrated copy of Donald the Bully, order one at btbard.com. It's a small book for big discussions, so it is not recommended for young children. Thank you for listening, and remember, a change of heart can change the world.